Given new political realities in South Korea and the United States, and Prime Minister Abe's longtime interest in the abduction issue, we should also seriously consider, I think, trilateral diplomatic efforts. And Ambassador Gallucci, could you please discuss the strategic validity of reestablishing official in-country engagement, either through engagement on retrieving POW MIA remains, or through projects on agriculture, public health, education, or even weather forecast technology?
Thank you much for the question. I think those sorts of things that increase the contact, and one sums it up and says the engagement with Pyongyang, are generally thought to be a good idea if they're going someplace. And if we didn't have an overwhelming security threat from North Korea, we could say, well, we need an improvement in relations. This will improve relations. But as we move along, this is not fine wine. It doesn't get better with the passage of time. The threat increases, the threat of transfer, the threat of war, the threat of a ballistic missile capability that reaches us. So that what you've mentioned are the kinds of things which fit in terms of an overall strategy if we had one. In other words, if we were engaged with the North and we were trying to persuade them, exactly as you said it, that they would be better off not being an adversarial relationship with us. They wouldn't have to worry about us launching an effort at regime change. They could count on us. Then, okay, I think this all makes sense.
Dr. Cha, you wrote briefly about engaging with North Korea on nuclear safety. I believe with the right sequencing, there could eventually be room for multilateral exchange here. Would nuclear safety talks be prohibited by current UN sanctions?
I don't have the specific answer to that, but I think they might be. Yes.
Well, under that circumstance, would you recommend dismantling those prohibitions to establish nuclear safety talks with North Korea?
Well, I think there's another way to approach it, Congresswoman, which is to do it at the Track 2 level, experts talks, which could be useful. I mean, this is a program that is growing quickly and has not had any sort of international inspection for over a decade. If they run the nuclear program like they run the rest of the country, they do cut corners on things. And so at the expert level, I think that might be one way to address the issue.
In my limited time, Mr. Ruggiero, could you quickly discuss economic ties between North Korea and our Southeast Asian partners like Vietnam and Thailand? How can the UN and U.S. better track trade numbers, and should the U.S. be applying more pressure to these countries?
Sure, I'm happy to address that. I would also mention that in the training and technical provisions of the UNSCRs, there's an ability for the committee to approve certain. So if there is a restriction with the UN resolutions, so I don't think you have to get rid of them completely. But I would raise the point on the UN panel of experts has talked about the lack of implementation reports with regard to their UN resolutions, and I think Southeast Asia is one area. There are other areas. There are some, I believe it's 90 countries that have never reported on their implementation with regard to the resolution, North Korea-related resolutions. So that's an area really where the United States can lead and get those countries.
And we need to. I think the numbers are going to be astounding, and a better tracking of these trade numbers, et cetera, is important. We've got to apply more pressure to make sure that that happens. I believe I'm over my time. I thank the chairman for his indulgence, and I thank you all very, very much.